Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. I'm going to talk about the opening game for the 2026 NWSL season with the Washington Spirit hosting the Portland Thorns at home to a sold-out Audi field. The atmosphere looked fantastic. The weather wasn't too bad. It was a bit windy. And the game started fairly bright enough, especially for if you're a Spirit fan, okay? I did hear a lot of the same old buzzwords and cliches before the game about starting on the front foot and intensity, blah, 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 things that mean absolutely nothing to what's happening on the field 99% of the time. You know, obviously, you always need some intensity for a game. It's not like you want it to be some sort of kumbaya hippie festival where you're just all laid back with, looking at the stars type of stuff. You've got to be involved and active. But let's start with the good. They were controlling the game to begin with, and stats will bear that out. Overall possession was 62 to 38% for Spirit over the course of the game. They supposedly had 13 shots, although 6 were blocked. I don't remember 13 for there, but they were not good shots. It was only one shot on goal the entire game, and the closest they came to scoring was Hirschfeld hitting the woodwork when they were down 1-0 in the second half. Corners and everything were roughly the same. Everything was pretty much the same, duels won, etc. like this. Portland sat back. They didn't press. They just sat back and let invited Spirit onto them. And Spirit looked like they didn't know what to do, though. Spirit are better when you're actually trying to attack them and do stuff. And that, now, why do I say this, that they're better? They didn't know what to do. First of all, they only got one counterattack. Portland didn't counterattack one time. Not one time. But Spirit only had one. And with that kind of speed that they have with Kawasi, Monday, and Rodman, running up front, well, that's the thing. They weren't running. I don't know what was wrong with Monday, but she was off the pace. And if Monday's not running, she's next to useless. And that Kawasi had her moments, but again, she was not getting the isolation she needed wide. And their wingers were very static. They had them hung at the line. And then after a while, Rodman's got chalk on her boots, and they're not playing her the ball. I don't understand that. She's literally demanding the ball, and they're not playing it to her. Really? You're going to get basically one of your most dynamic players in the league, and you're not going to give her the ball on the sideline? That's nuts. The second thing is this. They're missing Bethune big time already. Hirschfeld did a hell of a job last night, and I'll give her an 8.0 on the success of that because everyone else's ratings were kind of trash for Spirit. And a big problem with Spirit is they're talented enough to win on talent alone, which means you don't have to follow the game plan, and you're still going to get away with stuff, and they're going to win their share of games. The problem is that's not how you win championships. So the two worst parts with this, lack of creativity, with Bethune missing, and very static attackers who were not, all their runs were very vertical in that, and their crosses, no one's making near post runs, okay? That has to happen every time. I don't care. Maybe I'm old school, but your vertical runs for hopeful crosses are just a waste of time. You might as well not cross because more than likely you're just going to turn the ball over at this point. Now, the reverse can be true too. It's like, why are you holding the ball instead of crossing? But they weren't getting the proper runs. The other part that I hate is when they would get wingers deep into the corners, okay, and it wouldn't work out and they go backwards, the resets were not happening. They absolutely sucked. They were lazy players, not coming out to reset, not moving at all. That's easy to mark. And then if you serve the ball back in after a no reset situation, you're just hoping that something works out. There's no plan there. That's just going to happen by accident. Sometimes it does. More often than not, it's getting shut down. Portland, again, was just waiting for stuff. And Washington fell right into it. So, that drives me nuts, not resetting your positioning things, basically your rest defense, the trailers, just everything off balance for that. That was the biggest problem for not getting shots on goal and not getting points. But the second thing is this. It looked like the press was being a bit successful early on, although here's the problem that teams have with pressing. They don't even understand what a press is half the time. You can't press everywhere. You have to make choices. And the real trigger for the press against the Portland Thorns, if I'm designing it, starts with Obeys getting the ball, okay? If Obeys gets the ball in the back, and she's not a bad defender. That's not what I'm talking about here. You're pressing people to cough the ball up. So Obeys gets the ball. You push her to her left. You want her playing that ball to Vignola, okay? Because the other player out there on the touchline on the sides with her is Alidu. And that's where you had the three fish on the line. Okay, that's that. You don't want to push them to the other side where Reyes is. Okay, their right side of Portland was much stronger in that. They're better at getting the ball out, and Reyes might just break your leg if she gets beat too often. So every time Obeys gets the ball, she needs to be pushed to her left, okay? And that's when the trap happens. That's when Hirschfeld jumps up into the play. That's where Rodman and Carl jump up into the play. And you're going to try and trap Vignola on the sideline. Or if she manages to get it off to Alidou, you smack her and steal the ball, and you're gone. You want Rodman on that. Rodman's a better 1v1 defender than Kawasi, and that's nothing against Kawasi because Kawasi's kind of tenacious too. But Rodman can strip a ball and be gone like this, and she gets her head up, and she's frankly a better crosser of the ball a lot of the times. So that was the scenario that should have been the trigger for the press every single time. If it went the other way, let it go, drop off, and reshape, okay? But they didn't do that, and then they kind of abandoned that stuff anyway. And the goal they got against was typical Washington Spirit goal against at home for 2025, and it happened in the first game here. I don't know if it was Obeys or the other center back had the ball, but Santos goes up looking at other players, looking back like, hey, are we pressing or not? She does a half-assed attempt to pressure. Okay, the first ball out of the back because the next four players with Rodman and everyone in there gets beat by the first pass, and then that very next ball to Torben beats the rest of the defenders, and now everyone's running back facing their goal. They get one little pushback cross. They find Moultrie, the one player you do not want getting the ball in your area, and she one touches past Rudd and then side foots it back the other way into the side netting for a 1-0 lead at the 52-minute mark. And Spirit had nothing after that. I don't understand the static forwards of where they weren't crisscrossing. Lacey Santos disappeared in the game again. She's basically a 40-minute player a lot of times, creative in this, but I don't know if it's fitness or mental or what, but she becomes next to useless, and I hate saying that. She's a fine player, and she brings a lot when she's bringing it, but she's not bringing it enough. Bernal was okay. She was fine. Nothing to write home about for her. I'd give her a 6, okay? Just average play. Hirschfeld was outstanding. You could see her communicating and things like that. But let's face it, Bethune could pick apart defenses, threading needles and stuff, and they do not have that ability in the field. Maybe Cantore, okay, if they do something different. But that would require a whole reset of the system, which they're still not doing. I'm sure they're going to stick with everything they're calling this monstrosity out there right now. But I don't feel like that system's set up to get the best out of the players they have in the field. And it's going to be masked by their ability to win games that they shouldn't win because of the talent they have. And, hey, I think the goalkeeper situation is going to be fine without Kingsbury. I'd rather have Kingsbury in there, but, who wouldn't? But I think McGeever is going to be just fine. That's not going to be the issue. I really think is that they need to learn how to, number one, counterattack with the proper trigger and get more counterattacks on teams overall, not just this game. This applies to last year too, and have more clearer presses that are designed for the team you're playing each week and not this overall concept, because that's just nuts. It's just, I don't even know what to call that. That's not tactics, okay? It's barely strategy. It's more of wishful thinking in your philosophy that, hey, we're a pressing team. That's great. So let's break it down for this week, how we're going to press, who we're going to pick on. Because there's always a player that's going to be your trigger that you can pick on. And it should be designed week by week. And I don't see that with the Spirit. And, hey, by the way, if the Spirit technical director is watching this, who I spoke to last year, was very, kind words for me, I can fix your press and that shape in the back if you want. Give me a call. I would love to work for you guys. But, again, Spirit are going to be in the top 3 no matter what's happening, but they want to win trophies. And to do that, they're going to need to tighten up a few things. So, not the end of the world with one loss at the beginning, but it was very preventable. That was a team goal, by the way, against, I don't care what anyone says, definitely a team goal. So, that's it. Again, it just should have been a better game for them considering, and I don't want to hear about how people are missing. This is the core is still there. They know how to play together. I'm just not sure that they understood what they were trying to accomplish at all times last year, and I wish they would fix their runs on crosses. So we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for stopping by. And if you made it this far, there's some links below that you could help out my family with. We're still going through it with my wife's cancer. This is starting to become a broken record. But it's been a year and a half of hell off and on, and things get better and things get worse and stuff. But there's some hats you could buy for U.S. Soccer that would help us out. Maybe share this video, like and subscribe if you will. That costs you nothing. But it would be very helpful to us. Okay? Thank you so much. Bye-bye.